5 top-rated tourist attractions in Virginia. History is everywhere in Virginia. 4 of the first 5 presidents were born in the state, giving it a head start on the record of 8, the most of any state. 2 of its top tourist attractions, Mount Vernon and Monticello, are homes of presidents. Virginia also claims the most Civil War battlefields of any state in the places where both the Revolution and the Civil War ended. The colonial capital of Williamsburg, now restored to its 18th century appearance, was among the hotbeds of the Revolution. But it's not just history that brings tourists here. Visiting the state's natural wonders, including Luray Caverns, Natural Bridge, the barrier islands of Chincoteague and Assateague, and Shenandoah National Park, are some of the top things to do. The mountains are prime places to visit for hiking and other outdoor sports, and the long golden beaches are popular summer destinations. Number 5. Mount Vernon. George Washington's home from 1754 until his death 45 years later. Mount Vernon was a work in progress under Washington's close supervision, even while he was leading the Continental Army during the Revolution. The architectural design, construction, and even interior decor in each renovation and addition received his personal attention, resulting in the gracious 21-room plantation house you see today. You may be surprised at the vivid paint and wallpaper colors throughout the house, but these shades were popular in the late 18th century. The bright green walls in the new room were Washington's favorite. Unlike many historic homes, Mount Vernon is filled with personal reminders of George and Martha Washington, family portraits, crests, and the couple's belongings. The grounds and gardens overlooking views of the Potomac River were a great pride of the first president, and again, he took a personal part in their planning and care. He chose a less formal and more natural plan than his predecessors, reshaping the lawns and paths, and planting native species of trees and shrubs. The outbuildings have been preserved or reconstructed, and you'll often see the many skills used on the plantation demonstrated: blacksmithing, plowing, sheep shearing, weaving, even grinding grain at the water-powered gristmill. Address: 3200 Mount Vernon Memorial, Hawaii, Mount Vernon, Virginia. Number 4. Arlington National Cemetery. Spread across 600 acres overlooking Washington, D.C., Arlington National Cemetery is where some of the most famous people in the United States are buried. The most visited are the grave of President John F. Kennedy and the tomb of the unknown soldier. Kennedy's grave is marked by a slate headstone covered with Cape Cod fieldstone and contains inscriptions of his 1960 inaugural address carved in marble, as well as an eternal flame. The tomb of the unknown soldier is carved of white marble and watched over by an honor guard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It contains the remains of soldiers from both world wars, the Korean conflict, and the Vietnam War. The third site tourists look for is the famous Iwo Jima Memorial, the Marine Corps War Memorial, depicting the Joseph Rosenthal photo of 5 Marines and 1 sailor raising the flag on Mount Suribachi. Other notable monuments include the Seabees Memorial, sculpted by former Seabee Felix de Weldon, who also created the Iwo Jima Memorial, and the Women in Military Service for America Memorial, a tribute to all women in the U.S. military. Arlington House was built in the early 1800s by George Washington Parke Custis as a tribute to his step-grandfather, George Washington. However, the house is most famous for being the residence of Robert E. Lee and his wife for 30 years, until they abandoned it during the Civil War. Lee was commander of the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia during the American Civil War. The house has been restored and now serves as a memorial to him. Near the mansion is the tomb of Pierre L'Enfant, who designed the city of Washington, D.C. His original city plan is etched in stone, and his burial spot commands a beautiful view of the city he planned. The mast of the battleship Maine is incorporated into a memorial to the casualties of the ship that sunk in Havana Harbor in 1898, leading to the Spanish-American War. Number 3. Virginia Beach. Named for the wide expanse of golden sand that stretches from just east of Norfolk, Virginia Beach is a very popular and often crowded resort town, with the expected hotels, amusements, and a long boardwalk. If the Atlantic Ocean is not warm enough for the children, take them to the 19-acre Ocean Breeze Water Park, with Caribbean-themed water slides, a wave pool, and water playground. The Virginia Aquarium and Marine Science Museum explores the climate, seafloor, and fauna of the coast, with an 800,000-gallon aquarium, hands-on exhibits, and a touch tank. Outdoors is an aviary, nature trail, marshlands to explore, and an adventure park. More than 9,000 acres of coastline has been protected in the Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge, where you'll find walking and hiking trails and picnic facilities at the visitor center. This is a favorite spot for birders, as more than 10,000 birds visit annually, including snow geese, falcons, ducks, and piping plovers. The Atlantic Wildfowl Heritage Museum displays historical and contemporary waterfowl decoys. To visit the 1791 Old Cape Henry Lighthouse, which opened up the Chesapeake Bay area to safe navigation, and the nearby new lighthouse built in 1881. You will need to pass through security at the Fort Story military base. Between Virginia Beach and Norfolk is the entrance to the 20-mile-long engineering marvel Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which spans the entrance to Chesapeake Bay, connecting the mainland to Virginia's eastern shore. Number 2. Colonial Williamsburg. Few places can recreate a setting for the period of the American Revolution as well as Williamsburg, where the original 18th century buildings are either still standing or have been faithfully reproduced on their original foundations. Here, you can stand where Patrick Henry gave his stirring speech, walk the same streets as Thomas Jefferson, and savor a meal where George Washington enjoyed seafood dinners. Williamsburg was the capital of Virginia from 1705, and throughout the Revolution, and the final battle of the war was fought nearby, so it was a hotbed of the independence movement, along with being one of the most prosperous and politically active colonial capitals. Costumed interpreters helped show what life was like for the gentry, the farmers, and the slaves that lived and worked here, and frequent reenactments add color and action. That makes Williamsburg a fun place to visit for all ages. In addition, you can visit 2 outstanding museums of folk and decorative arts, and dozens of authentically recreated colonial gardens. 1. Shenandoah National Park and Skyline Drive. In the center of Virginia, Shenandoah National Park protects portions of the Blue Ridge Mountains, which range in height between 2,000 and 4,000 feet. Along their crest and running the length of the park is the Skyline Drive, the northern continuation of the Blue Ridge Parkway, with stopping points to enjoy the views and attractions, including President Hoover's summer residence, and the Old Cave Cemetery below Dark Hollow Falls. The beautiful hiking trails are some of the park's main attractions. Flowering trees and shrubs are at their finest in spring and summer, but the park is best known for its autumn colors in October. Only a short drive west from the Skyline Drive on US 211 are Luray Caverns containing magnificent formations of stalactites and stalagmites. Subscribe to our channel for more similar videos.